Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dadas Show, coming to you from the iconic Chester Hotel and Suites. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. Now, as our name suggests, the Dadas Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity. And we do this by creating an open and a safe platform for women to discuss issues pertaining to their health and lifestyle, their careers and families, and anything that affects them in one way or another. We also take an opportunity to acknowledge formidable women who do great things, not only for themselves, but for their community at large. Now, marriage is considered the culmination of a romantic relationship, which means that it represents the highest point of a couple's commitment to one another. That said, many claim that marriage is not a walk in the park, and it is not for the faint at heart, as many have always said before. So, on this episode of Dadas Show, and in honor of February, the month of love, and Valentine's Day, we will be joined by two couples who must have found either the secret or the handbook to having a long and successful marriage. So, what is keeping them strong? What is keeping them going year in, year out? And how are they able to stay devoted and committed to one another amidst all the chaos that is going on in the world? So, if you're a hopeless romantic like me, then this is definitely the episode for you. So let's sit back, relax, and perhaps we'll be able to learn a thing or two. As always, we welcome you at home to take part in this and any other episode of Dadas Show by joining us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. You can also join us on our Facebook page at Dadas Show KBC. If you want to reach me directly, you can find me at Ashiko, the host, across all social media platforms. And please always remember to like and to follow. Now, before we jump into our heartwarming conversation of the day, let's take a look at the following feature.
Valentine's Day is celebrated on February 14th, and it is a day for expressing love and affection, whether between partners, friends, or even with family. People often exchange cards, flowers, chocolates, or go on romantic dates to mark the occasion. The origins of Valentine's Day are rooted in both ancient Roman and Christian tradition, and it is a bit of a blend of historical events. The most commonly accepted origin of Valentine's Day comes from the story of Saint Valentine, a Christian martyr who lived in the 3rd century AD in Rome. The famous priest defied Emperor Claudius II's ban on marriages for young soldiers. Claudius believed that single men made better soldiers, so he prohibited marriage. Valentine, however, secretly married couples, and when he was discovered, he was sentenced to death. Before his execution, Valentine is said to have healed the jailer's blind daughter, and they developed a friendship. On February 14, the day he was executed, he left her a note signed, "From you, Valentine," a phrase that became famously associated with the day. The modern association of Valentine's Day with romantic love began to take shape in the Middle Ages. By the 18th and 19th century, Valentine's Day had become a more widely recognized celebration of love, with people sending handmade cards, poems, and gifts. With the start of mass production and postal services, it quickly turned into a major commercial holiday, especially with the development of Valentine's Day cards in the early 20th century. Valentine's Day in Kenya has grown in popularity, especially among younger generations, and is becoming a day to celebrate love, friendship, and affection in various forms. Therefore, Valentine's Day, as we know it today, blends elements of romantic love, ancient rituals, and cultural evolution. Whether it is about honoring Saint Valentine, celebrating love, or exchanging gifts, it has evolved into a day cherished by many worldwide. From Dadas Show, we wish you a happy Valentine's Day. My name is Miriam Odanga.
Hello and welcome back. If you're just joining us, then this is definitely the place you want to be this Saturday afternoon. This is the Valentines special. And on this episode, we will be celebrating love. We will be celebrating marriage because we actually believe that marriages can work, especially in a time full of such skepticism. We are so encouraged to see couples that are still standing strong, be it a young couple, be it an older couple. So to introduce my wonderful guests who are going to be making us blush and all the whole episode. Right next to me, I have Mr. and Mrs. Kahingo, who is Robinson and Caroline. Karibuni sana. And thank you so much for making time to come and sit with us and teach us young Turks a thing or two about how to make marriage work. Next, we have Mr. and Mrs. Donga. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Donga happened to actually have graced our panel maybe about 2-3 years ago. And we are so happy to see that they're still growing strong. And we're so happy to have them here. That is Paul and Hilda. Of course, I cannot fail to acknowledge my wonderful audience who take time to sit with me every other week so that we can discuss issues that are affecting women of Kenya, people of Kenya, and on episodes like this one, where we just celebrate love. Of course, I want to acknowledge you at home. I hope you are enjoying your Valentine's weekend. I hope you have been shown love, even though it's not by your spouse, but by your family member, or you've even shown yourself love. You know, self-love is the most important kind of love. So, so I'd want to acknowledge you as well. Remember to reach us across all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1, to Ashiko, the host, and also to Dadas Show KBC on Facebook. I want to start off with the man. Bwana Robinson, how many years have you been married? Share with us. Actually, both of you. You can share. I hope I'm not putting anyone in any hot water. You can both share with us your love story and your opinion about what the secret of marriage is.
We are hitting 30 years in the month of July. We met back in 1990 at the university, when we were both very young. Incidentally, it didn't hit, it wasn't an issue of love that time.
There was no love at first sight.
It was just meeting as students.
Yes.
We would cross each other's paths in our social endeavors, just as normal friends, not meeting regularly. But then it happened that when we finished college, we are both teachers. Incidentally, we were in the same class, geography, Kiswahili. And we were posted almost the same area.
Oh, wow.
And therefore, actually the very first day of her arrival,
Yes.
you look familiar.
What
are you doing around here? And actually, we picked it from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back in 1995.
Back in 1995. Caroline, how do you remember it from there?
I was very happy to see him because that was my first time living in a rural setting. It was like a small market center and very cold. I was a bit scared. I didn't know anyone. So there's this day I'm leaving school and I just find him outside the school gate. So it's like, hey, I know you, and I felt that at least I know somebody in this center.
Yeah.
And we picked up on the friendship, became very good friends. And within no time, we were married.
Oh, wow.
We didn't court for long.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's actually really nice. We will talk about the importance of courtship as we carry on with our conversation. So to you, Robinson, actually to both of you, what do you feel the secret of marriage, according to you, based on your own experience?
I wouldn't say courting is such a crucial thing in a relationship. But I would say what has kept us this long, I would mention 3 things.
Yes.
One is communication. Communication. Then the second one is trust. And the third one is openness. We do fight. in terms of not the physical.
Yes.
We do differ
Yes,
on various issues, but we don't allow our differences to make us not communicate. We keep on, we are always, she is always looking for that opportunity as much as I'm also looking for that opportunity when we shall break the silence.
Oh, wow.
That if there are some differences, let's talk about it. Let's put it on the table. In any case, it is affecting both of us, and by extension, our children. So let's talk about it. Let's discuss. Sometimes some discussions may be quite painful, but we still have to discuss.
Still have to have it, yes.
Yeah. Then on the issue of trust, yeah, we don't go hovering behind each other. What are you doing when I'm not there? What are you doing when you are away? That is never an issue.
To be honest, it looks like a very, it's the three of them are working very well together. I want to move on to you, MC Ndonga. Share with us your story as well. Like I mentioned, you have been here before, and we're happy to see you guys back here again. How did you two meet? What's your love story, and what do you feel the secret of marriage is?
Wow, it's good to be on this show. And we met 9 years ago.
Yes.
That is when we met, and we've been married for the last 7 years. So
Yes.
we courted for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Yes, yes. It's been an amazing ride. The secret to marriage, number one, we were doing some calculations, and there's normally that saying that goes that 1 + 1 = 1. But normally, what we find nowadays, and the bad narrative that is out there about marriage, is that it is not working. So what we did is, what happens in many marriages that don't work is when one comes as not whole. So unapata hapa kuna 3/4 and there is a quarter here or half. So it won't be complete. So the secret number one to marriage is going back to working on oneself. This goes to those, number one, who are not yet married. You work on yourself first. What you feed your mind, what's your view about marriage. And then I think I should have started by saying above and beyond, as we started off with the word of prayer, saying that this is indeed an assignment. It's a marriage. The first marriage was between God. It was God. God is known as the God ordained, Yes. So you need to go back to the source. Who is the source of marriage? So if you don't recognize the source of marriage, and if you don't acknowledge the source of marriage, that is God, then it will be really tricky for you guys if you do not put God first in your marriage. Then the other bit is, number one, working on yourself. That is God part, now your part. You have to work on yourself. What you feed your mind with, what you think about marriage, what marriage is to you before you go in there. And if you're already in there and you want to do things right, now you need to go back to start working on yourself and going back to the source of marriage, who ordained marriage. Yes.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. I really like the aspect that you've talked about, getting to know yourself, actually working on you. Because I find that most people have a tendency of, I'm looking for my partner to complete me. All of my sadness, all the hole and all the gaps I have within me, my partner is the one who's going to feel that, which of course puts a lot of, which is first of all unrealistic. Secondly, it puts a lot of pressure on the person, on your partner, to fulfill and to fill in all the gaps that are happening in your life. So thank you so much, MC, for that. What about you, Hilda? Now, tell us a beautiful love story. You were working together in church. You're working as youth leaders to now marriage with children.
Thank you very much, Ashiko, for having us again. Yes. We're happy to be back. So, like he started by saying, we met 9 years ago. In March, it's going to be 10, actually.
Oh, wow.
So, we were serving as a national youth leaders, and we were the loudest ones in all rooms, inside and outside.
Yes.
So, it was natural that our energies gravitated towards one another. But at that point, there was nothing romantic. It was just, I want to be near the loudest person where there's a lot of laughter.
Yes.
And it has been like that ever since. We even have very loud children. So, yeah, we had fun together at the conference that we met. And we continued making noise 10 years later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the fact that there's something you've pointed about the energies, the extroverts, and people keep on saying opposites attract. Now, you two, these were similar poles and they came together, you know, which gives us hope. Some of us are always scared of ending up with an introvert and you don't know what to talk about, and you're the one who can't shut up. Well, thank you so much. I want to come back to you, Robinson. There's something, marriage, like we said, marriage and gender roles, everything lately in this generation always seems like it's upside down. Things are confused. So in these times when gender roles sometimes appear to be reversed, because we are adjusting to new realities where, you know, the wife is going to work and the husband is staying home, you know, to take care of the children. So in this time where gender roles seem to be reversed, based on your experience, what is the role of a man in a marriage?
Well, thank you, Ashiko. Man in a marriage, the role of a man in a marriage is one. The main one is to protect, to offer security. In that, not just the security we all know about, is to offer security in matters of emotions, psychological, as well as now the physical one. He should be very thorough in assuring the wife that, well, we have this challenge, we are going to face it together, I am with you, and take the lead. If the child want to hear Daddy is the Simba. When the kid is praying outside there with others, they are like, nitaenda kuambia baba yangu. So when the father comes, akiambiwa whatever the child experience the child had during the day, what does he do? So that child needs that assurance that Daddy is there for me. It may not be really about finances. No, but that reassurance is very important. But when we miss in that reassurance and assurance, we are making this family to feel vulnerable or to become vulnerable. And therefore, they don't know where to run to when things get worse. So majorly, it's not, the traditional way of thinking is that the man should provide, which is somehow true, but then the provision nowadays has also changed.
Yes, absolutely.
Not just the finances,
Yes.
but other aspects of life, like what I've really mentioned.
Oh, wow.
So that's my feeling.
That's your feeling, and I tend to agree. But let's hear from the other husband on the panel. What is your take? What is the role of a man, especially in a time when things seem to be changing or have changed? Yeah, what's your opinion on that?
I echo what Mr. Robinson has said. So basically, is provision, but provision in terms of not only finances, but presence, protection. Emotional provision. You provide a safe space where the wife can express herself, because we know that women are emotional, but men are logical.
We're not abandoning the traditional set out roles, but we are saying that now that things have actually mutated and things have grown, then it is also important for people to embrace other roles. So thank you so much, gentlemen. I want to move on to you, Caroline. What's your especially as an educator, what is your take on that? because it shows a lot of skepticism towards the union of marriage. And of course, this is a generation that is following. So what's going to happen? Is everybody going to be single in the future? You know, what's your take on that? What is the root cause of all of this skepticism?
Thank you for that question. This is one of the discussions we have in a unit I teach at the university about the changing gender roles and dynamics about it and the effects. So basically, I would say that to have a paradigm shift on the way we look at marriage, that we are not coming to it as that women are supposed to be submissive and men should be the heads. Personally, what has worked for us is a partnership. And I like what NC has said, that when you're coming into a relationship, it is about what are you bringing on the table. Do you know your value? So I would urge the Gen Zs, like NC has said, work on yourself. And then as you get into a relationship, you're able to know that this is what I need in my partner. And you have these conversations. This is the support I need. This is where I want to go. And these are my views. And then above all, just like any relationship, I believe that we need to work on those soft skills.
Yes.
Like effective communication, decision making, empathy. So if you have worked on yourself as a product, then you should not fear marriage. It is just another relationship, like even at your workplace. If you're a good employer or employee, then you should not fear marriage. It will work. Yeah. And I think, again, when we hear such negative narratives, we tend to believe them before you also make a personal decision.
Yes.
You have not tried, so why are you thinking that it will not work? Yeah, at least if you tried, there are lessons you would learn from it going forward, and therefore you would make better choices later on. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really, really well put, Caroline, and thank you so, so much for that insight. So I'll move my next question to Hilda. So Hilda, we've talked about the role of a man. We've talked about Gen Zs and, you know, and why get married. What, in your opinion, you know, you've been married for 10 years, and you're fairly young. What, in your opinion, is the role of a woman?
I also echoing what Caroline has said. Yes. Nowadays things have shifted. So you want to understand how the economy is, but ideally what the definition, the economy is, so in terms of, you know, the way they say the man is the provider, so you just sit pretty and you're the passenger princess of life. Sometimes it's not logical and it can bring a lot of friction.
Yes.
Anyway, I think holistically, the role of a woman that I have learned over time is to be an empathetic helper, comparing that to the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is told, I'm about to preach, eh?
It's okay. Yes.
The Holy Spirit is we are told is our helper. So the Holy Spirit does not get tired, right? When there is no conditions. You know, when you're at your lowest, when your husband is at their lowest, even when they're at their highest, so a Holy Spirit, a helper, is a teacher, is a comforter, is a, you know, guide, all those things that are representation of the Holy Spirit. So I liken that they are told the Holy Spirit, we are told the Holy Spirit is a helper, so are we as wives. So just being there helping, and not helping in degrees or capacities. 100%. Like there's no full stop at nimesaidia sasa pia we jisaidie. You know, there's no places where the Holy Spirit says nimesaidia sasa we jisaidie. So usually he's there all the time, helping in dark times, in good times, in present times, in, you know, teaching, guiding, comforting. So yeah, and the rest just falls into place.
I don't think that I would have put it any better. I love that. I love that analogy. And I also would request for people to actually look into it, you know, and see what, you know, I like the way you've likened it. And it does mean, there's something you said that has struck an accord with me, where it is conditionless. Unfortunately, most of the time we help with conditions. We love with conditions. We are there with conditions. And I don't know if we properly understand how to love someone without condition, what it actually really entails. And I think once people understand that about marriage, it would actually, they would not shy away from getting into it. So thank you so much, Caroline, for that. I want to go back to you, MC. You guys work together. And that is normally the funniest bit. You guys work together. And I think that everyone, you'll say it's already difficult to work with family. Now working with your wife. Sasa nimuone nyumbani alafu ninamuona job pia. Hii hapana. How do you make that work? Actually, that's pretty much what I just want to find out. How do you make it work?
Yes, so it's been years of learning and unlearning in this working together thing. Sometimes, of course, there's friction and all that, but I think what really is key is, number one, understanding. There's boardroom matters, there's bedroom matters. And that being said is, as I said earlier, you first work on yourself. So number one, you know where the boundaries are. When it comes to work, no emotions. So we normally say, number one, it is we, that is we, over me. So it is not about me, it is not about her, it is about us. In everything that you're doing, be it work, be it ministry, be it bringing up the children and all that. So it is just understanding that it is we over me. So when we work together, again, as we mentioned earlier, we are both extroverts. So we are energetic and all that. So sometimes that energy can bring some friction, chaos, because there's what she knows, there's what I know, and there's what that needs to be done. So it's just understanding over time, understanding that you have these roles in this capacity, then my roles are this. If I need help, I'll come to you. If she needs help, she'll come to me. Yeah, so that's just basically it.
Yes, please. Yes.
And I think it's important to know where we work together, in what industry. So we're in the event space. So we might be at an event and I'm thinking this energy is required for here, and he's seeing another type of energy. So then we just come together to agree. I think it's even learning the overtime, and I think you would agree. You just learn the unspoken cues.
Yes.
So I know akiniangalia hivi ama akifanya hivi, what that means. Yeah. So it really also helps in us working together. The unspoken.
The unspoken, and really learning your partner. But I like the way you say clearly defined roles and boundaries. Those things are very, very important, because I feel like most of the couples that work together, they carry, like you said, bedroom and boardroom, they carry that. So kama kulikuwa na ugomvi nyumbani hiyo asubuhi, if people did not talk to each other, you come and carry it into the office. You're showing attitude. Yes.
We do corporate training.
Yes.
Both of us, including our daughters now.
Yes.
And there are times we take teams for training for 2-3 days, and then at the end of the 3 days, we are telling them we are a couple, and they're like,
They can't believe
it is
it.
not
Oh,
true.
you also work together. Wow.
Even there are times we are even told them, bring your wedding bands, we have to confirm.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's doable.
Oh, it's not those ones. Not kuna those people, you'll know they're a couple from even the moment they enter the building. So congratulations actually for both of our couples for actually being able to crack that. Let's dive into that. We've understood how they work together. So now you've said the corporate training, and now you're involving your daughters in it. What are some of the things they need to know for couples who want to get into business together? Because you guys have already found, yes, it can work. So what about, let's start with you, Robinson. What are some of the need to knows for couples who want to work together?
Well, thank you, Ashiko. The first thing would be to have a common vision. Yeah. What do you want to get into? Like, what kind of business do you want to carry out together? And the two of you in it? Because if you have a different vision from the other person, it is going to be very difficult. So you see, like the MCs,
Yes.
they were both in the same industry,
Yes.
the same interests. So they shared the same aspirations. So it was very easy for them to bond and work on the on their vision. And that is what exactly happened with us. We after a lengthy discussion, what do we do when we have our free time? During our free time, remember we told you we said we are both teachers.
Yes.
So during school holidays, we would stay at home until the holiday is over. You are so bored. So we were like a whole holiday just getting to waste. So incidentally, she was in Girl Guide movement. I was in a President's Award scheme. So we brought our experiences together, and we decided to start doing leadership training for schools. That is student leaders. And from there, we mutated into even corporate trainers. So we do team building for all sorts of groups, even including church groups, because the principles are the same. Yeah. So, and we've been doing this for since 2009.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you share a common vision, it will be very easy. Then you sit down. You must sit down as corporate partners, not as a
Husband and wife.
husband and
A wife.
a wife.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you agree that this is how we shall be going about it. Yeah. Sometimes it is very hard to, there is no very clear line, because sometimes we are going for training. We had a bad night. So sometimes it is hard to, let's go. We are going to Nanyuki, we are going to Nakuru. But the good thing about it is that once we leave home, you can imagine driving all the way to Nakuru and you are not talking.
You'll have to talk at some point.
Definitely.
You'll have to talk at some point.
And because sometimes the ego in me may dictate that I should not blink fast. So I may just do an emergency brake.
Yes. To get a reaction.
To trigger. So it's fun.
I like that tactic. And I think I really appreciate when you said you are always looking forward to something to happen to break the silence. And you're not comfortable in the silence, because I think we've had that happening in so many couples where people, watu wananyamaziana karibu hata mwezi mzima, and they live in the same house. What about you, Caroline? Now let's go back into the aspect. We think about the business and we think about the family. How do you look at conflict resolution?
It is not usually very easy, because sometimes it is about like you're the one who did wrong. So what has helped is what we talk about conflict resolution, where you're talking about what has that situation made you feel like. Instead of saying that you annoyed me, you stepped on me, you look at the situation and you paraphrase it like that. Like today, I noticed that you did this and this, that made me feel this way. So you're not accusing the other person, and then you're inviting them, can we talk about this? I felt that you overstepped your boundaries when you did this and this. So it is not about accusing the other person, it's about inviting them to have a conversation about the situation. And you're willing to listen to what they have to say about it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What about you, MC1? What is some of the, what are some of the steps that you take in regards to conflict resolution?
In the beginning, it was very tricky because you don't know how to be married. You've not been married before. So you're learning the other person. So we used to say you've brought in your 20, however long or many of years of the patterns and the things that you know you've been taught, and the other person. So to harmonize the two, we used to say we don't know how people say year one of marriage is honeymoon phase.
Yes, oh, yeah.
That's a lie. I think for us it was not true, because coming together we did not know, we could not align. So until we learned the practice of, and I'll use our example, my problem was tone. Like I'd seen ubaya. lakini the way the tone is coming out, very
Very
accusatory.
Yes. Yeah.
So over time, I've had to learn how to structure. I don't know if my tone, right?
Yes.
So, and if I'm not able to do it at that point, then I'll wait until zishuke nipange tone. Yeah. And then his was a lot of defense.
Yes.
So his mechanism was defense. Yeah, it is not even a big deal, but he's already waiting.
Very defensive about it.
He's waiting
yes.
for you.
Yeah.
So I think also over time he has had to learn, because my response to the defense was, and then what? So then if I'm not after you. Like for us, before we were able to learn about, we are not fighting each other is the issue. We put it on the table and fight that issue. So I think for him, he needed to learn that it's not me. You're not attacking me. Yeah, it's the issue. So my tone, the defense over time, and then we've learned that we put it on the table, we fight it, and then even before we put it on the table to fight it, then in which tone are we using?
Are we presenting it? Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hilda. We are going to take a small break. I really hope that, you have your pen and your paper and you're jotting down all of these piles of wisdom from our couples today. So we'll take a short break and then we'll be back for the question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back to Dadas Show Valentine's edition. We have had the privilege of getting some really insightful, insights on marriage from our couples of the day. We have our MC squared and we've got our trainer squared. And it's, it's just mind-blowing what you can learn by just sitting down and listening to people about their experiences. And perhaps we can be able to duplicate that in our own lives. So welcome to the question and answer session, where we give our wonderful audience an opportunity to interact with our panel. They can give us a question, a feedback, comment, and anything that is in regards to today's conversation. So to start us off in this session, I have Jacqueline. Jacqueline, karibu sana.
I have a question to the two couples. First, I want to say thank you. You've given us a lot of insight. But my question generally goes to both of you, both couples, because I've seen that you're two different generations. And especially to Caroline, you spoke about the Gen Z. And my concern is, the Gen Z, are they seeing what is happening maybe in their lives, in their parents' lives, and that is why they're afraid of marriage? Because I heard that most of the Gen Z, I'm not sure if it's true, but I just heard that most of the Gen Z on the streets were from the single parent families. Thank you.
Okay. Wow, that's a wonderful question. Sort of this time around, we'll do ladies first.
It is a valid question because with the changing family dynamics, we have single parents because of many reasons. It could be divorce and separation. It could be death. And nowadays, there is even where you just decide that you want children, but you don't want a husband. And as human beings, socialization is very important. We learn by observing other people, what they're doing, and we pick up on their attitudes and views. So it could affect them in that they've not seen this working. So our role, what we have done with our own children, we are humbled that they admire. They admire us, and in fact, most of them are like, we have 3 daughters, and like, we would want this in future. So we are really humbled because they have seen it is something that is good. When we interact with young people, we have noticed that at the end of the training, when we say that we are a couple, most of them are impressed. Like when we go to schools for capacity building, and even the teachers challenge them that, you see, this can actually work. So in our own small way, we hope that we are showing them that marriage can actually work. You don't have to fear. So finally, on parents, if you find that you're bringing up kids single-handedly, I would just urge you to try and let them make their own decisions. Because if, for example, I have issues and I'm showing these children that this is wrong, then they may eventually pick on those views that the other partner was wrong. So let's try to also look for people around us whom these children can interact with, whether it is their aunties who have stable unions or neighbors, so that these children can actually get to a point of having their own personal views on marriage, not just speaking on what the parent thinks.
I would say they are justified.
Yeah.
They have all the reasons to fear. But what I would say is that Gen Zs or the young people, they should not actually do what their parents are doing. Let them know that there is joy in marriage. The choice is theirs. The fact that their parents' relationship didn't work doesn't mean that theirs can't work. Yeah, it can work. It has worked, and it will work. Thank you.
Thank you so, so much. That is truly, truly, truly profound. Hilda, what's your take on this?
I think one thing we've realized also, because we work very closely with them in our line of work, they're our DJs, they're our photographers, they're our hype men. One thing Gen Zs are allergic to is fakeness.
Yes.
They don't like fake. They will tell fake from a mile away. In fact, most of them will even flee churches because of what trainer one said.
Yes.
Because you're not doing, when you close the door, like it's Bwana Asifiwe, and when you close the door, if it's their mom, then they are abusive, they are nasty, they are not kind. So a lot of fakeness is displayed in marriages, and fakeness in the negative and even fakeness in the positive. Where on social media, like we said, beyond the churches, we are hugging.
Couple goals.
And exactly, relationship goals online, and it's not sustainable. Again, they are very smart. We are also back in the era where people are back to wanting knowledge, reading books, listening to podcasts, and so they will really tell where they tell fake from a mile away. However, there are very good marriages out there we have discovered by, and especially being in the line of doing so many weddings, meeting so many, weddings are family oriented, so we meet so many families, and you'll find that there's a wedding and there's shosho, grandparents of the couple who have been together for 50 years, 30 years, so many beautiful stories. However, they are hidden. So ours is how I would encourage even those of us that are married, and there's no fakeness, there's realness. Just the same way we are actually saying here that my problem was tone. Somebody will actually,
Real conversations,
take that in and say, oh, and relate. I actually also, other than me, when I see my husband, my babe, my hubby, so the realness.
So let me move on to you, Msindonga, very, very briefly. So what should be done? What can be done to address that whole situation? We've talked about, yes, they are justified to feel how they feel, but how can we help?
Yes, so there's really bad narratives out there on our media spaces. I think what we should do is use the same media spaces to have more dada shows, to have more platforms that are giving marriages that are working. They give airtime to such, and encourage that those who their marriages that are working, shout more, because there are marriages that are working out there. I mean, there are so many. This is a testament of marriages that are working. So let us shout more. Let us have more shows like this, podcasts and all, showing that really marriages are working.
Let's move on to our next question of the day, which is from Monica. Monica, karibu sana.
My question is for the two couples who work together. I am challenged to know whether you people ever encounter a scenario where you look at somebody maybe in your day-to-day activities and like, I don't like the way he or she is looking at my wife or my husband. Or maybe you have ever encountered someone come and hug your husband or your wife and like, maybe they knew each other a long time ago, something like that. Do you ever encounter such? And if yes, how do you deal with it? Thank you.
That's a good point. We'll pick one person from each couple because of time. So let's look at Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Ashiko. Personally, it has never been an issue. To me, it has never been an issue because one thing I know is that I have all my friends, 90% of my friends are her friends.
Yes.
And the same with her.
I think from the point where we started with trust,
Yes.
and knowing yourself,
Yes.
so to us it has never been an issue.
That's
and maybe because with corporate training, it's too professional.
Yes.
So again, you're meeting teams that are there for a particular purpose. So as it doesn't come up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's sorry. Well, you are the lucky few, the MC squared, especially kwa hiyo sherehe yote. What normally happens, Paul? You know, how would you tackle that when people are coming onto your beautiful wife?
It leans more on the person in that situation.
Yes.
It leans more on that person. Do
Yes.
they know their boundaries? Do they respect? Do they speak out when they see, hey, we umekuja sana sasa? Do they speak out? So it is more on you yourself, knowing yourself and knowing your boundaries. Yeah.
Good. What about you, Hilda? Here is Paul and his emceeing, and now maybe
And his
sister
white
of
shirt.
sister of the bride or whoever has decided now they're best friends. Oh, hug here. You know, things that make you feel uncomfortable.
We are very intentional about letting people, you know, like even when we go out, we are going out as we call ourselves a couple of MCs. So even from the introduction point, and I'm learning that also society is now gravitating towards respecting boundaries. Ule ni bwana ya, you know, and it depends on even the spaces you're in. But of course, there's people who again are very familiar.
Yes.
I think it's just like he said, trust, and that he also knows boundaries. So even his body reactions will send you away. I don't have to be there.
I hope your question was answered. Monica, let's move on to the next one from Sue. Sue, your question?
One of the greatest challenges parents have today is the mobile phone and the internet. And this also seeps into marriages. One person doesn't want the spouse to touch their phone or to handle their phone. How are you people handling? Can Hilda look at your phone? Can Robinson look at your phone? And you don't flinch, because this is an area where many marriages are suffering. Thank you.
Okay.
Despite knowing his password, I don't bother.
Yes.
And when the phone rings, even when I know the person, it is not my call, I don't pick it. I'll tell him so and so was calling. So I give him that space, that is your phone. Whoever you're talking to, just like where we started from trust.
Trust.
That you know the boundaries.
Yes.
So let's move with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just
Yes.
last comment on that. Marriage is not slavery.
Yes.
It's not a cage
Yeah.
that I cannot be me.
Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes I joke with friends. Remember, I come from somewhere, and before I met her, I was a small boy.
Yes.
I grew up from a village. There are those friends that were very close to me that time, whom she may not know. And we talk even today. So I still have that click.
Attachment, yes. Yeah.
Attachment. Tukienda naye nyumbani kwetu, anakuta watu wengine wazee wananisalimia, hey, and they are, kwa nini, you know, we come from different communities.
Yes.
Unasikia mtu ananiuliza, hey, yani uliangalia huku kwetu ukaona
ukakosa kabisa, ukaenda mpaka
ukaenda Western. Yeah. So they are those close friends,
Yes.
childhood friends.
Yes.
And therefore, I cannot prevent her from interacting with them. And maybe the level of interaction, I may not be happy about them. The same way with her. So that's why it is at such a convergence point that we agree to respect each other's boundaries and maintain trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our final question of the day, which is coming from Elias.
My question which goes to the panelists is this. I have one question in two phases. The first phase of my first question is this: is age really a matter when it comes to marriages? Because nowadays you find someone at a younger age marrying someone who is older than him or her, and is that really affecting the current trend in marriage? And the second phase of my question is this: maturity, is it a fiction or is a reality? And at which age or at which stage are we going to decide that and say this couple now it's mature, it can make decision mentally, physical, and in marriage setup that they are in right now? Thank you very much.
Wow. I want to divide those two questions within our couple. So I will start off with the age. So let's look at you two. Let's pick up the question on the age. What do you feel about age? Is age really a factor when it comes to making marriage work?
So you just said, do you? I think that's the biggest principle in marriage. So I'll give an example. I'll answer that question again with an example using myself. So am I able to respect a younger man? Like, nikijisikiliza. If it's a no, which for me was a no,
yes,
then I will shy away from. But there's somebody who it doesn't matter,
yes,
and they are okay. So for them, it's, I think to answer the question, I think it's a me.
It's a personal
right?
preference.
So even the man, are you able to, you know, like, will you be able to, an older woman akikwambia tufanye hivi, how will you feel? And for other people, they don't feel anything. So I think at the end of the day, it's a person's preference.
According to human growth and development, the brain reaches maximum growth at 25.
Yes.
And at that age, someone should be able to analyze issues critically and even solve complex issues. And therefore, I do agree that maturity can affect a relationship. I've just given an example that getting married at 23, I behaved differently until when I got to a point where I'm like, no, I can look at this issue from a different perspective. So maturity also comes from also experiences. By the way, you may find someone who is 20 and may be more mature than someone who is 25.
Absolutely.
Depending on their upbringing, their experiences, socialization. Because sometimes you find someone who has been brought up in hands-on experience, like you've gone through these challenges, they're able to handle issues to do with luck more than someone who has been brought up cushioned.
Yeah.
Because basically, even at our own age, there are things that we have not experienced.
Yeah, and we're still learning.
Yeah, there are challenges we've walked together that have made us maybe have a different perspective today than we had at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
So experiences and situations may also contribute to what we say about maturity.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think that is really, really well put. Elias, I hope your question has been answered. So we have come to the end of this very heartwarming episode. And I think my 2 cents is marriages are not perfect, but no two marriages are the same. As always, let's keep this conversation going across all social media platforms at KBC Channel 1, across all social media platforms, at Dadas Show KBC on Facebook, and Ashiko the host across all the other platforms. So on behalf of our location partner, Chester Hotel and Suites, our production team at KBC, myself, Ashiko Mbune, I wish you all a loving weekend. Be kind to each other, love each other, and remember, marriage works. Until then, I'll see you, and bye for now. Bye-bye.